All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. So this video is going to be just a little bit different. I'm not like a review response channel. I don't do that. I can, I just don't. But this one is going to be talking about the new My Hero Academia movie. My Hero Academia You're Next, which is the fourth movie to come out. This is the fourth movie, which is good because it's going to hold us over until the final season of MHA comes out next year, which I believe it comes out between quarters 2 and 3, I believe. So definitely looking forward to that. I just finished binging My Hero Academia from front to back again and paid more attention than ever this time, and definitely learned a good bit more about the context. So between the movie, the actual anime, we don't have long to wait before the final season. I'm pretty excited. So just wanted to touch on the My Hero Academia movie. I saw it on October 11th, which I believe was the first day it came out internationally. To be honest, I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know that that movie was going to come out. I just saw online when I was visiting some family a few hours away, and I was staying in a hotel, and I was like, well, wrapped up work for the day and everything. Like, I need to do something with my time, or I just want to, I guess, unfamiliar environment, see it a little bit. And yeah, that's what I ended up doing. Checked online, like, oh shoot, there's a new My Hero Academia movie. And I'm like, all right, bet, let's go. Again, I'm not like gonna reflect on it, review it, none, but more from a business aspect and a little bit about the movie itself. I'm trying not to spoil it, but a little bit of the movie itself. I wanted to talk about whether or not My Hero Academia You're Next is a good movie. So let's go ahead and just quickly get into this, and we'll be good from there. So from a financial standpoint, the movie's considered a commercial hit, grossing over 28.8, so essentially $29 million worldwide. In Japan alone, where it initially started, it started at, in American dollars, USD, it started at $16.38 million, which by the way, I don't plan on touching the yen amounts. I don't want to give both. Don't know if it's going to matter to people if I give the yen amount. So I'm going to just stick to giving the USD amounts. That's how well it did in Japan. In Japan, it started with putting out $16.38 million with around 100.65 million tickets sold. Once it came over to the US and broke out internationally, again, that happened a little more than a week ago at this point. It's October 19th, and I'm pretty sure it came out on the 11th. So overall, this marks a successful run for the fourth film, because in the US, the film earned another $3.6 million once its international debut. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is one thing about the movie itself that I wanted to talk about that I'm very glad that the writers made it a point to fix. I'm really glad they did this, especially after the, what was the, I forget the name of it. It's the My Hero Academia movie where we ended up meeting All Might's friend who like designed all of his costumes. I think he's American. His daughter. They went on like a big artificial super tech island type thing. All right, guys, I'm not gonna hold you. I had to look it up because just like everything recently, I can't seem to remember which movies or whatever I was trying to think of. So I just went ahead and looked it up. So the first movie I was talking about, where like basically both Bakugo and Todoroki were both more in support, at least when it came to, I would say, closer to the end of the third act of the movie. So they were equal, and the movie focused more on the teamwork between All Might and Deku. That was My Hero Academia 2 Heroes. But then you have Heroes Rising. Heroes Rising is the one where, when I first saw that movie, I was a little thrown off because I was like, why do you have, and maybe there was a plot reason for it, but I've seen the movie 2, maybe 3 times, and I personally haven't picked up on any specific reason. But that movie had a lot of pushback from fans because for Todoroki specifically, it made it feel like he was very nerfed. Like the way he performed in that movie, he should have been stronger and more ahead than he was. And even the last time I watched it, I didn't feel like there was a valid reason why Todoroki shouldn't have been at least part of the final fight when he wasn't really there at all. When it comes to You're Next, that was one thing that I'm glad they fixed. They really fixed Todoroki's placement, at least in comparison to Two Heroes. They really fixed his placement in the movie, and he was actually part of the whole trio thing that they've always had. Like say in One Piece, I know you have Luffy, who actually is the designated captain. He's the leader of the Straw Hat Pirates. And then you have Zoro and Sanji, who are his right and left hand man respectfully, and together they're known as the Monster Trio. But that's a little bit different because, again, Luffy's in a designated place of superiority. The thing that I've always liked about like the Trinity thing they have set up with Deku, Todoroki, and Bakugo is they all are on equal ground. Of course, in terms of power, Deku ends up eventually pulling ahead. But even though, like, even the last episodes, the latest episodes of MHA, if you watch it on Crunchyroll or Hulu, he's not super far ahead to the point where you can be like he would bulldoze over Todoroki and Bakugo is still very much improving. It's probably going to end up being like in a ranking type system. It's probably going to be like Deku, and I know where the story ends up ultimately, but while he is good, it's probably going to end up being Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki, which I'm fine with. But again, Todoroki was never a slouch. He was never a punk. So I didn't really care for how in Two Heroes, they made him seem real nerfed. But they really fixed that in this movie. And that was a big pro for me. He was there for the final fights. His presence is always felt. He's actually able to show off his abilities. And honestly, in this movie, again, I'm not going to show anything, but in this movie, some of my favorite scenes continuously are the like partner teamwork scenes between Todo and Bakugo, or Shoto and Bakugo. Those are some of my favorite scenes, especially when they mix like the explosion power with his half hot side of his quirk. Those combinations, like the animation is great, the way they make it look. Their teamwork was so seamless. Like Bakugo, we know his personality, but it's like they just fell into place. Like the best way I could put it is the writers knew when to time primarily Bakugo's typical, just boisterous, kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? A belligerent, loud, just crazy personality. Like they knew where to put it, and they knew where certain parts of the story, at least in comparison to the anime, where he can do that all the time, every chance he has, and it's not as much gonna rub you the wrong way. But in this movie, there are some moments where you're waiting for him to say something because Todoroki said something or told him or asked him to do something, or they just, the guy could jump back into the fight and you're waiting for him to say something, but it's like, no, they just fall into place. They just get in the pocket. They go to work, and it's such a great thing. It was so great. My favorite scenes throughout the movie were the ones primarily where Bakugo and Todoroki worked together. I freaking loved it. But more than anything, I loved the fact that he actually had a presence and he was able to show up as that guy. Like, he's one of these three. Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki. He's one of that three, okay? And none of them are punks. So I'm glad they fixed that because that was a big point of contention for me in the Two Heroes movie. Now, while that part was fixed, I will say, not only in terms of like general fans, the plot of the movie was not that great. A lot of people feel like the plot was like mixed in terms of quality and the direction it was going. And I ain't gonna lie, towards the end it did start to feel like I need this to wrap up. I think it's like a 2-hour movie, but for some reason it just felt like it was starting to overstay its welcome, just barely. They wrapped up more or less at the perfect time, but it was starting to feel like it was overstaying its welcome. For me, I would say, while it's not a bad movie, it's not like offensively bad or just terrible. It's also nothing mind-blowing either. It's just, it comes off very formulaic. Like, if I had to draw somewhat of a comparison to another anime, I would say look at Naruto Shippuden. I don't remember the movie order, but Naruto Shippuden Bonds. I would say it's akin to that. I hope I didn't give... You still got to see some of the details, but yeah, you kind of see... That's the direction it was going to. Kind of like Bonds. I can't think of any other movies off the top of my head, but it just seemed... It was something I've seen before, Which isn't necessarily bad, but it did kind of hit like that generic anime movie in a formula or format that we've seen many times. It's just extremely pretty animation, different characters, of course, and all this and that. But you could kind of get the gist. There's a Pokemon movie that's coming to mind, sort of, kind of. Maybe the one that had Entei and the Unknown. You can probably argue it's sort of kind of in that realm, but not all the way. But you get the point. If I come up with any other examples, I'll throw them up on the screen. But you get the point. It can come across as basic, not boring, just basic. Typical formulaic anime movie in a format that we've seen with a few different IPs before. That's all. So not offensively bad, but I ain't jumping about it either. I ain't raving about it either. It's cool. I'd see it again. It'd be cool. Probably see it with the homies or something. Honestly, I could see it being one of those movies that would be like background comfort noise. You just you're doing something else, but you put it on just cause, but you're not even paying attention to it. I can kind of see it being that, with the exception of a few moments